I'm going.
All right. We have temples where we make promises and receive instructions in what we call an endowment. Here's a picture of one of the temples in our area. We also participate in the temple in what we call a sealing, where husbands and wives and families can be sealed together for time and for all eternity. After we've been through the temple ourselves and performed the endowment and the sealings, then we find names of our family members who have died without having that opportunity, and we take their names to the temples. It's sometimes I think we receive help from those people whom we are preparing to take names to the temples for, and this is the story I want to share with you today. Jill and I were on our way to Mount Pillier, Idaho to pick up some cattle fencing. And it's only an hour away from the Star Valley Temple, and we thought we would go there afterwards. But we had to be there by 10 o'clock. So we made plans to leave early in the morning, and we left about 15 minutes down the road. Jill realized she didn't have her phone, and we needed that to contact the guy who had the cattle fencing. And so we turned around, came back, and found her phone right where we had gotten in the truck. She had dropped it there. So now we're about half an hour behind our schedule, but we thought we could still make it to the 10 o'clock session of the temple okay. Once we got to Mount Pillier, we drove into the field, picked up the fencing, and by the time we finished loading the fencing and tying it down, the frozen field that we had driven on was now mud, and it took us a while to get out of there. And so now we had an hour to make an hour's journey to get to this Star Valley Temple. And so we hurried along, and along the way we're thinking to ourselves and saying to each other, well, if nothing else, if we miss this session, it's a nice trip. Just before we get into the Star Valley and we think we're going to be able to make it to the 10 o'clock session, we are stopped because there's a snowmobile race that's happening. It crosses the highway. And so we had to wait for all the snowmobiles to cross before we could proceed. We pulled in to the Star Valley Temple right at 10 o'clock. Jill ran in to see if we could make the endowment session, in which they said we couldn't. Well, about the time we were stopped for the snowmobiles, Jill also remembered that she had some names of some people that needed sealing work done in her temple bag that she had. And from months before that we had gone to the temple and weren't able to do them. So she asked while in the temple, is there a chance we could do sealings? Now this particular temple only does sealings by appointment. So, but luckily there was someone else there doing sealing work, and they asked if we could participate, and they agreed. So we went ahead and participated in the sealings. One of the names that we had taken was a direct ancestor that lived and died in Switzerland. And Jill was proxy for her during the sealing. There was a special spirit, almost as if she was present when she was sealed to her family. Afterwards, the sealer turned back to that particular name and said, I had served my mission in the town that this person was from, and felt that he knew the home that she had lived in. We then realized that all the little things that delayed our trip along the way, the cell phone dropping, the snowmobile race, the mud in the field, was all to prevent us from being in the temple in time to do an endowment session, so that this person, whom we forgot all about, but Jill remembered along the way, could be sealed to her family.